says we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers. And through the smoke we come.
What a crash! Oh, crash!
Hi, and welcome to another Retro Motorsport. This week, it's Formula 5000s, Superbikes, and a bit of Rally Extreme. We open this week's show with the Formula 5000 monsters. This time, it's New Zealand against the Aussies, and it's at Sandown in sunny Victoria, Australia.
Throughout the 1970s, they were the kings of Australian motor racing. The Formula 5000's 5-litre stock block V8s, putting out over 500 horsepower, attracting huge crowds and bringing together some of the biggest name drivers in the world. Almost as fast as Formula 1, they were a spectacular part of Australian motor racing history, and now they're back at the 2008 Victorian Historic Racing Register Historic Sandown, and the only place that you can see it is right here on In Pit Lane. Hello everybody and welcome to the 12th Annual Victorian Historic Racing Register Historic Sandown, and one of the highlights of this and every year at the Historic Sandown, the fabulous Formula 5000s. I'm Brett Ramsey, and joining us in co-commentary is the only other member of the In Pit Lane crew old enough to remember these fabulous beasts, and it's Richard Outram. And Richard, what a thrill it is to see these cars back in action once again.
Oh, isn't it great, Brett? Gee, I was a young kid when I was watching these out and about, I can tell you.
We certainly were. It was certainly something that you remember going back, and the crowds that used to turn out and the sound of these things. Of course, back in those days, they actually ran without mufflers, so they were even more impressive.
And a standing start in front of the grandstand. I'd be there, oh look, Bernie Eccleston in for a bit of low strafing, but I'd be in front of the grandstand. The whole grandstand would actually shake as the flag dropped.
I think someone said that as they took off, the whole circuit sort of moved about 25 metres closer to Melbourne. But as we see a big field coming around, 20 cars, probably more than we had in most rounds of the Tasman series back in the golden days, and a wide variety of cars as well, mostly from New Zealand as per usual, but a few locals as well. And at the back of the field there you see the car of Paul Trevethan. More about that later, a very unique car. But let's check out the grid right now. On pole position is Stan Redmond in the Lola T332. Alongside him, Chris Hyde in the McRae GM1. Then comes Ian Clements in the T332. The local driver, Andrew Robson, also in a Lola. Tony Roberts in that fabulous McLaren M22 is next. And alongside him will be Aaron Burson in the Talon MR1A. Looking back onto the next page of the grid now, we've got a couple of interesting cars there. Graham Smith in the March 732A, also one of the locals. Ken Smith in the Lola T430, a veteran of Formula 5000. And as we said, Paul Trevethan in the Elfin MR6, powered by the L, standing for Leyland. But we're getting ready for a start right now. This is a rolling start, unlike the old days. This is the way they used to start them back in the United States, and also, of course, in New Zealand. Also saves a lot of wear and tear on the aching old joints. And we know something about that, Richard.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of people stalling on the grid and someone cleaning them up.
Yes, and these cars, let's face it, they were tricky enough to begin with, so it's fabulous. But they still race it hard, that's for sure. And as they come onto the Brock Straight, we're getting ready for a start. The green flag is being waved. We're racing.
I'll listen to this sound, people.
And it looks like it's Hyde in the McRae GM1 who's got the jump on Redmond as they go into turn one. Can he last round the outside? He can. Oh, and just took that a little bit tightly, Redmond, and now he's been joined by Robson in the Lola. So the local, Andrew Robson, has come through and taken second place. the good news is everybody seems to be through comfortably, no problems at this stage. So a good start there by Chris Hyde, and there he goes, blasting up the back straight.
Look at that, look at it go.
This was always one of the great sights, watching a full field of Formula 5000s blast up that back straight up that hill. Look at that.
You know, you ever used to watch it against the rails and the car looked like it was jerking movement as you'd follow it with your eyes.
That probably says more about your eyes than anything else.
I'm probably just getting old.
There we see Hyde goes through Robson there. Then comes Redmond, and right on his tail is Clements in the car number 30, and then the talon of Aaron Burson back in about 5th position. But as they come onto the Brock Straight for the first time, the McRae GM1 leads. The full field of Lowellers going through. The Lowell, the car that dominated Formula 5000. But what a thrill it is to see these McRaes in action, and we were lucky enough to catch up with Graham McRae last year, weren't we?
Oh, he was terrific. Wasn't it great to get an interview with him? After all these years, no one's actually spoken to him. To have him do an interview was just great.
It was fabulous. It certainly was fabulous to hear from him, and really a very underrated race car constructor, but particularly a race car driver. Could have really been anything had he put his mind to it. But we see this field coming through, the blue car there, which was someone's gone. That's Russell Greer.
Yep.
Russell Greer in the Beg FM4. Speaking of New Zealand constructed cars, let's have a look at the replay.
Yep. Just got the back brakes locked up and around he went.
You're not sure what happened there, and coming through just behind him is the car of Paul Trevethan. Now, this is the Elfin MR6, and this is the first appearance we've seen of this car for many, many years, and what makes this car unique is the fact that it's powered by Leyland, and we had the opportunity to catch up with Paul and find out all about it.
MR6 was built for John McCormick, had it built in 75, and they built it with the Leyland engine in it because it got the weight down. The car, if you put it beside the MR8, which is here, is a lot smaller than it, and they made the car smaller and lighter and as light as it could, so it could run at minimum weight. Even though you got less power out of the Leyland engine, it still was better. He won one or two gold stars, I can't remember now, with this car. One with this engine, one with a Holden engine.
Yeah, they changed it around at one stage. It started with the P76 motor, and then they later switched it back, and they did all sorts of wonderful things to it. I remember it at one stage had a rear-mounted radiator, all sorts of things. But this is basically as it originally ran.
This car is now as it was originally run by him, with the Leyland engine, front radiator, Tyrrell-type nose. Yeah.
So tell us about how you managed to get hold of this car.
Years ago, I bought the engine. I run it V8 MGBs, as you know, and we were going to use some of the bits off it for that. But then later on, this car came up for sale, and a bloke in Adelaide had it, and I did a deal with him. It was an old Ferrari I had.
So what's it like to drive?
Oh, well, I've only done 5 laps so far, but it's terrific. And if we get 4-wheel brakes tomorrow, it'll be even better.
Yes, it's always better when you've got four-wheel braking, especially when you're driving this fast in a car this powerful. And it looks like Andrew Robson is now catching up a little bit too high, and this battle for third continues between Redmond, Clements and Burson as well, as they head back onto the Brock Straight once again. So Hyde continues to lead as they head down onto the Brock Straight once again, and you can see how close these cars are for the third, but
those yellow flags are out again.
Yellow flags. It looks like they've been unable to move that car of Russell Greer. So while the yellow is out, might be an opportunity now to take a break. You're watching In Pit Lane. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. You're watching the historic Sandown, the 12th annual running of the Victorian Historic Racing Register's historic Sandown meeting, and we've got a yellow flag for the Formula 5000s. And Richard, they seem to be having a real problem with that car of Russell Greer getting that moving.
Yeah, he seems to be stuck out there. I don't think. Yep, it looks like it's stopped. I don't think he can get gears and get forward. I think they're going to have to tow him. He's getting out of the car now. That means that we're going to be held here for a little bit longer before they get back to racing again.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, the cars are only out for a short time here in Australia, and to lose a couple of laps like this is most unfortunate. I suppose the good part about it is it does give us some time to do a bit of reminiscing and to think about the good old days, and we'll be doing that in just a moment. But one thing that is a highlight of the Victorian Historic Racing Register Sandown is all of the other categories, and a particularly unique car this year, the Bobtail Cooper. Let's have a look at that.
Okay, well, the Type 39 Cooper Bobtail, or Bobtail bobtail as it's known because of the shape of the back. Was first made in 1955, and this is the first car which was driven by Ivor Bueb in such races as the Goodwood 9 Hours and several other meetings during the year with class wins in most races. And then he took it over to the Bahamas, to the Nassau Speed Week in November 55, sold it on to Harry Banter, who seems to have driven it for several years, and it had a long and distinguished career in the States. I'm not sure when it came over to Australia, but I got it fairly recently off Paul Moxham, who's got also its sister car, which is chassis number 2. So this is my first drive today.
So how are you finding it out there?
Well, yesterday was wet. Yesterday was great, but no, actually this is the first car I've driven with drum brakes, so I've had to get used to the different quality of brakes and brake fade, but no, it's a beautiful car. It goes very quickly. It seems to keep up with the 2-litre cars, so very good.
So what is the engine in it?
It's a 1460 Cooper Climax engine, so I guess it's the same would have been used in the Formula 2 Cooper cars in the later 50s. Yeah.
It's a somewhat unique design. I mean, it's obviously a sports car. It looks like a single-seater, but technically it is a 2-seater. So where's the other one hiding?
Well, the other one's hiding in the left-hand pod there. It's a seat or in name only, I think. But obviously it was a way to get over the regulations for sports cars in the mid-50s. It is very similar, obviously, to a streamlined racing car. It is the same engine, the same running gear, and virtually the same chassis, I guess. So it's what we've always done, try to get a car through to a different class where it'll be successful.
Well, it's an absolutely terrific looking little car, and it looks quite a treat out there on the track at Sandown. But for now, thanks for joining us in pit lane.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Yes, it's somewhat ironic that we've got that single-seater, well, the allegedly single-seater bobtail Cooper there, because many years later, of course, the demise of Formula 5000, if you remember, came about from the move by the Sports Car Club of America to rebody these open-wheeler cars as single-seater sports cars in the revived Can-Am series.
We had some of those Can-Am cars appear in Australia for a short while.
We did, in fact. Aaron Lewis, who we'll be hearing from in just a moment, in this particular car that we just saw there, the Chevron. He was a driver of Vern Chupin's Elfin, the Elfin MR8C. Came out here. It was returned back to Australia with its full Can-Am bodywork, and also in the Group R category as well. Peter Lana and Jamie Lana run a Rolt RT2 with the full Can-Am body kit on it, and they were very spectacular looking cars, but a lot of the cars have been now returned to their original open wheeler specification.
Now, the Porsche 917, the Can-Am car, was out for the Phillip Island race historic meeting, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and what a thrill it was to see that. One thing, if you haven't been to an historic meeting, I mean, you do get a history of all Australian and international motorsport. And speaking of history, one car with a particularly interesting history is coming up right now. Car number 2, there it is, the car of Aaron Lewis. It's a Chevron B24, and let's find out a bit more about this car.
Peter Gethin won here in Sandown 1974. He won Pukekohe in 74, and he won the series. So this car did win the Tasman in 1974. You're quite right, the Lolas eventually dominated, but through 1973, 74, 75, the Chevrons were probably the best of the rest, and they did win various races around the world. This car also won in Vern Chupin's hands in England, and it also raced in America, in Holland, England. It did a lot of work.
Now, this is, of course, a famous Team VDS car, Count Rudy van der Strutten, I believe. Tell us a bit about the Team VDS. What's your knowledge of that particular racing team?
Well, he's the sort of guy that came along and spent a lot of money on racing, did very well. They only wanted to do well. They weren't there just to compete. And probably the best category they did was Formula 5000. They were also very good in centre seat Can-Am, did very well there. Peter Gethin was the head driver here, and Teddy Paulette was normally the other team driver, but Warwick Brown from Australia was also a Team VDS man, so there's certainly Australian connection there.
So how did this car come into your hands?
Through, goodness, trying to think of his name, George Palby. George Palby owned this car, but it had been wrecked in about 1981. Took the people a long while to build a brand new tub for it and put it back together, and George Palby had actually sent it back to America. And I had a different car at the time, and then I had a buyer for that car, rang George, and I had to get the car back from America. The stupid thing is, 12 months before I could have bought it in Australia, but these things happen.
Now, tell us about the situation with Formula 5000 at the moment, the whole revival thing. You're one of the relatively few Australians behind the wheel. Thing is dominated by New Zealanders. Why the reluctance by the Australians to bring out their cars?
Yeah, it's a pity. I mean, we have got more out. There's a couple of new ones out this weekend. Chris Hocking didn't quite get here in the Matic. I've got a Matic as well, which my brother runs sometimes. Yeah, look, it's a pity. There's only about 2 or 3 more cars out that should be out. Paul Trevethan's here in an Elfin that hasn't been on the track for God knows how long. So we are slowly eating into it. But really, we should have 10 or 12 Australian cars every time, and we'd look a bit sick without the Kiwis. So I'm glad they come. But they do certainly promote interest, and I think they will help us gradually get more and more cars on the track, but it's been a slow process.
And yes, great to see the cars of Count Rudy van der Strutten back in action again. We're about to get ready for a restart, I think, because we see the recovery vehicle pulling in off the track, so it won't be long before we're back racing again. But we've got 3 VDS cars here, including the car of Ken Smith in the Lola T400, starting from back in the rear of the grid, and Ken has come through quite well there. There, of course, we see one of the Elfins, the famous Ansett Team Elfin, but I think we might be getting ready for a restart at this stage.
No. Yes, safety car's off.
It is, so we're ready for a restart, and Chris Hyde blasts into the lead again, but right now, on his tail will be the car of Robson, and then we've got the New Zealand cars coming through with both, and here's Smith, I mentioned before. Smith going round there. Yeah. That's Sefton Gibb. He's going up the inside of now. So Smith looking for an inside passing move there, and he pulls that off. So this looks like we're going to get plenty of battles, but we're ready to take a break now. We'll be back with more action from the Formula 5000s here at the historic Sandown in just a moment. And welcome back to the 12th Annual Historic Sandown. You're watching In Pit Lane. You're with Brett Ramsey and Richard Outram, and we're watching the Formula 5000s in action. And as a result of that safety car, they have now closed right up, and we've got a couple of battles here. The battle at the lead between Chris Hyde in the McRae GM1 and the local driver Andrew Robson in the Lola. Then we've got a battle between Lolas and a bit of an attempt at a passing move there by Clements on Stan Redmond, but he doesn't manage to pull that off. And as they head down the Brock Straight once again, it's yet again Chris Hyde in the lead.
Chris Hyde seems to make a break down the straights, but Andrew Robson seems to gain it back under brakes.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, and what you have to remember is the McRae GM1 is one of the oldest cars, and look who's coming through in front of the car of Tony Roberts there. There's Roberts' car, the McLaren M22, a fairly rare car, but coming through on the charge we said before, Ken Smith in the Lola T430, sorry. The T440 was, of course, the Formula Ford, and that ain't no Formula Ford.
Not at all.
Although I'm sure there are bits of Formula Ford in it. They didn't call it the bracket racer for nothing.
Now, but we've seemed to have competition going all the way down the grid at the moment.
Well, certainly Hyde is just in front, but as you say, in this particularly twisty section, Robson closes right up, but this battle for third is an absolute blinder between the cars of Clements, Redmond, and now coming through is Smith right on the tail of Burson now. Burson in the Talon and Smith in the Lola, and as they come onto the Brock Straight again, we're going to see a drag down the main straight now between Smith and the Talon. Smith right behind is in the slipstream. Is he close enough to get by? And now he makes his move.
Yes, out he comes out of the slipstream. Yes, and I think he's got him down into turn 1, down to the Holden corner, and away he's taken that place.
And as we saw on the inside of turn 1 there, we saw the march, the 7-3 march of Graham Smith. So unfortunately Graham Smith has succumbed. But look at this battle. We've got 4 of them. virtually side by side, and almost another pass there as Clements got right on the back of Redmond, but now he's coming under challenge from Smith as well. And look at the power in Smith's car.
Look at him go past. It's great to see those cars thunder up that back straight. The noise is just fabulous.
Yeah, it's great to see. If you haven't seen them before, I mean, it's one of the things that people do, really wonder about these cars, that these are the real V8 supercars. 5-litre V8s, just like the normal V8 supercars you see today, but of course in a much, much lighter and more aerodynamic package. But as we see, Robson right on the tail now of Hyde as they come onto the Brock Straight once again. So this battle is continuing now.
He's still managing to just get away, coming out of the last turn 11 there, and lead Robson down into turn 1.
Yes, it certainly looks like he's got the power, and as we see Hyde come through and up to the S's once again. But here's where you see Robson starting to take over again. There's the car of Smith, and unfortunately he is out, so that's most disappointing. There's an interesting car. That's the car of Kerry Anderson, one of the oldest cars in the race, one of the early model Lolas. And another early car there, a McLaren M10B. That, I believe, is the ex-Frank Matic car, but not running in its original Rothmans colours. But we're on our last lap now, and this is a problem for Hyde. He's been caught up behind the car of Russell Greer.
This is going to give Andrew a bit of a chance, no, but I think it's going to all wind up far too soon for Robson.
It also might provide a bit of a chance for Ken Smith as well, but I think it's going to be too late as they head on to the main straight once again. Hyde is in front, and he's going to hang on and take the checkered flag. So Chris Hyde will take this win. A great performance by Hyde. Robson, the local driver, will finish second, and then in a brilliant drive, the veteran from New Zealand, Ken Smith. So what a fabulous drive from Kenny Smith. And if he had started at the up to further at the front of the grid, then anything could have happened. Let's have a look at how they finished. And it's Chris Hyde in the McRae GM1 from Andrew Robson. Ken Smith was third. Then comes Stan Redmond, our pole position winner. Ian Clements was next. Aaron Burson was in 6th position. Tony Roberts was next. Sefton Gibbon, the Lola T332, in 8th place. Anthony Richards, and rounding out our top 10, Bruce Leeson in the McLaren M10B. Richard, thanks for joining us once again. Fabulous to see these in action, and we will see you once again next week when we return for another edition of In Pit Lane. Until then, bye for now.
Next up in the show, Superbikes. The year is 2008. The track is Ruapuna, and it's a round of the NZ Championship. Action aplenty on 2 wheels.
Welcome to our coverage of the 2008 New Zealand Superbike Championships, brought to you by Castrol, and we are straight into it here at Ruapuna, round 1. And first up, it is the introductory class. It is the 150 street stocks, and Paul Pavletic, there are a million of them.
Yep, they sure are, and they sound like a bunch of angry wasps, don't they?
Well, I guess every sport has its introductory class, and this is it for motorcycling, and it's hugely popular down here in the South Island. And number 3, Nick Kane, it is heading into turn 1 in the front.
It is, Phil. It's a perfect class for development. You can buy these bikes for basically next to nothing. Take them out and do some junior road racing. It's fantastic. Really, really low maintenance running costs.
And we've seen plenty of guys move up, and girls, I should say, move up and going into other classes, into 125s and the 600s, and of course Formula 3 as well.
Well, it's brilliant, Phil. There's 7 young girls entered in this class, and that's just fantastic.
So out in the front at the moment, it is Nick Kane, but he's now getting some pressure from Eric Oliver Maxwell. That's him on the 38. Down the inside as they come into the Calford Camtech hairpin, and we've got a new race leader in the 150s. Hey, they might not be fast, and I guess you can make the comparison, Pav. It's a little bit like Formula First. May not be the fastest race on the racetrack, but I tell you what, it'll be one of the more exciting.
Absolutely, and it teaches these young kids racecraft and how to plan attacking the rider in front. So I'm all for it. I think it's great.
Triple One moving up there is James Hugenbusen on the Suzuki. Pretty near all these bikes are Suzukis. There is one lone Kawasaki out there. We'll pick him out for you when we see him. But look at this, handlebar to handlebar stuff. And you can start pretty young, Pav.
Yep, you sure can. This sort of reminds me of downtown Thailand at the traffic lights, like 50 of these little 150s blasting off. They're actually relatively low horsepower. They're a single-cylinder water-cooled two-stroke.
This is the race leader in and out of the dipper here. Number 38, Eric Oliver Maxwell.
Just see how hard he's trying too. He's really twisting that throttle on early, doing his best to get good cornering speed.
Well, that's right. So I guess it's the place you can learn very, very good habits. Alistair Hugenbusen's trying to move up on him in second place at the moment, number 43. Look at that, all over the racetrack and out onto the grass just about. So how hard is Eric Oliver Maxwell trying? But it's going to pay the price here, and it's going to be Hugenbusen goes through. And look at that, he waves them on as if to say, go with me, go with me.
Wow, it's all about slipstreaming too, isn't it? You know, these bikes don't have a huge amount of horsepower, so you've got to get a tow and really make the most of it.
Well, unbelievably, we're only one lap into this 150 street stock race, and Nick Kane, who got the whole shot, is now back in third place. There he is, number 3, as they come out of pothole and head down towards the hairpin once again.
Nick Kane's a really good young rider, and I think that in the next couple of years he's going to develop into a great little rider. Hopefully 125s. Let's see what he can come up with later on.
Well, this battle on your screen at the moment, just outside the top 10 there, you saw number 14, Cameron Moyer. And look at the freight train behind him. And this is the hallmark of this sort of racing, Pav. Handlebar to handlebar, as we said, but because the bikes are so even, it's just going to take a slight miscue or a mistake.
Well, it puts them in good stead for 125 racing and then the 600s later on, because you know, there is a sort of a progression through the classes. Just like you said, with Formula First, the Formula Fords, and then Formula Toyotas.
Well, I mentioned handlebar to handlebar. What about wheel to wheel? 38 there, Eric Oliver Maxwell and another Hugenbosen. It is 111, James Hugenbosen. This is the battle for third and fourth, and it's as close as you like. Look at this, who's going to go to the brakes last? You see the front end dive down, and I think it was Maxwell that just waited a little bit longer, but it's not going to work for him, or is it? Oh, he shuts the door.
Sparks flying off the knee scrapers. They're really into it, and the enthusiasm is just fantastic. When the Superbikes come out, all these young kids race up to the wall, and you can just see their aspirations.
Well, there I think we've got the only Kawasaki in the field, and that is Jasper Fries. So it's a Suzuki race, a Suzuki benefit, if you like. And look at the knee scrapers, sparks flying off them. As you said, Pav, looks like MotoGP, looks like Valentino Rossi out there.
Oh, they've really got good cornering speed. They've got them absolutely nailed, these little 150s. It's fantastic.
And you mentioned before on the long front straight here at Ruapuna, drafting comes into it. Hugenbosen goes around the inside and moves up a spot, but can he hold it as they come into this difficult turn 1 here at Powerbuilt Tools, Ruapuna?
Well, the straight's that long, Phil, on these little 150s, you could just about pass each other twice.
But into the turn they go, and it is James Hugenbosen now up into third place. Right in behind him. Look how close they are, Pav.
Oh, absolutely. He's plotting his move. He's going to go up the inside. Whoa, just about took his front wheel out.
Well, they both tipped in together. Here is the battle at the front of the field. It's another Hugenbosen, but it's Alistair. And in second place, it's Nick Kane. So he's worked his way back up into contention here.
Wow, too, the Canes would have done a lot of laps around here, even though he's a young fella. Like, this is his home track, so you can imagine how many laps of practice he's done here.
Well, we mentioned it before, didn't we, that this is the introductory class, and whatever they're doing down here in Canterbury seems to be working because there's a huge field of these things. And boy, oh boy, they're putting on a show. I tell you what, a lot of the people probably thought, oh, the 150s will go and get a hot dog. I bet they're stopped in their tracks now because this racing is ball-tearing stuff, Bev.
Absolutely, and I think it sort of bodes well for the future. It's a really, really good introduction class. And you can see the 125 classes starting to benefit from these 150 riders as they go up through the classes.
Well, this is Nick Kane, currently sitting in second place. Just up ahead of him, it is Alistair Hugenbosen on the 43. Both of these guys on Suzukis, as is the majority of the field.
Really impressive Hugenbosen. He's stayed really composed too. He hasn't been flustered at all.
I guess it teaches everything, Pav. Look at the racing tuck that Hugenbosen especially displays as they come out onto the long straight here. He's tucked right up under the paint, getting as aerodynamic as possible, and that's going to bode well for him when he moves up a couple of classes.
Tactics too. It teaches them tactics, slipstreaming, hard braking, fast cornering speed. It's brilliant.
Well, Kane shows that, just carries a little bit more exit speed out of the big Rock FM sweeper and down the front straight. He's in the front, but have I spoken too soon? Who's going to be the last of the late breakers this time round? Both taken to the very outside of the racetrack. Oh, Kane's going to hold on to it, I think, Pav.
Absolutely, and that's a seriously long straight on a 150 road bike.
Well, that's right. What sort of speeds do you think they'll be doing on the front straight?
Oh, they must be cracking 140k.
Well, that's fast stuff on a 150, essentially a street bike. This is the battle at the moment on your screen for 5th and 6th place. Number 9 is Robbie Stokes, 53 is Will Montgomery. Montgomery down the inside of Stokes. Can he hold on to it? Yes, he can. This corner hard to get right, isn't it, Pav? Because it's sort of you have a double grip at it.
Well, it sure is. And look, we said it.
We'll come back to that maybe as Hugenbosen down the inside through the hairpin. Oh, and he makes the pass stick this time into the infield now. Now Kane's really got to look to his laurels here. He's got to stay with him and he's got to find a spot to pass.
They're not lacking any aggression, are they? Look how far cranked over it is. You can see that expansion chamber. The exhaust pipe was getting scraped along the ground. Sparks flying off it. These guys are really putting these things to their paces.
Alistair Hugenbosen is the race leader. Number 3 in 2nd place is Nick Kane, just dropping off the pace a hair here. Just, you can't afford to lose contact, I guess, Pav.
Nah, that's right. Once you get about 7 or 8, 9 bike lengths behind, you lose that draft.
Up into Cochrane, and they go once again, then they head towards the dipper. This is this enthralling battle for 5th and 6th place. Number 53 there, Will Montgomery, just up in front now of Robbie Stokes. So the positions haven't changed yet, but here comes Stokes on the outside in the 9. Oh, and puts the knee out. How about that? Well, they say rubbing's racing, but I tell you what, he was getting ready to kick him.
Yeah, there's a bit of muscling going on. These guys are into it. They mean business.
Oh, look at this. And Montgomery had track position. Last lap now in this enthralling 150 race. And look at this. Maxwell just looking over. Oh, how close do you want to go? 111, James Hugenbosen. He wants to join his brother at the front of this field. Well, that was a little bit hairy, you'd have to say, Pat.
Yeah, well, if these guys are learning the trade and, like, they want bragging rights at the dinner table. He wants to catch his brother.
I tell you what, this isn't over with yet. Eric Oliver Maxwell sits in behind in the 38 as they come down into the braking area for the hairpin. Watch him dive to the inside here. Is Hugenbosen going to be up to it? I think he is.
I think too, Phil, these young boys, they've really got to learn to control their aggression, and this is the class to be doing, and the speeds aren't too great.
Oh, look at that. Phil tips him first. Down the inside comes Maxwell. Does he get the spot gap? Will he run it wide? No, he doesn't. He holds the line. So Hugenbosen's got to find another place to attack here. This is the battle for the minors up in the front. Of course, it's still Hugenbosen's brother, Alistair, out in the front in the 43. And I think it's Nick Kane. The last time we looked, he was still sitting in 2nd place.
Snap the throttle cable if they twist him any harder.
That's Nick Kane, and can you believe it? On the last lap, the Suzuki's given up the ghost, and it's given it to this guy on a plate. Number 43, Alistair Hugenbosen.
Oh, that's just so disappointing. He'll be furious.
And look at the way he's passing some of these lap riders, Pat, like they're chained to a post.
Yeah, look at Kane too. Look, you know, look at it this way. This guy would have been thinking about this for weeks and weeks, psyching himself up, his home crowd. He wanted to get out there and kick some butt.
I tell you what, if the big crowd don't give these guys a cheer, they must be dead from the neck up. 43 is going to come through and win it. Alistair Hugenbosen does the job. In 2nd place, it will be Eric Oliver Maxwell, and in 3rd place, it'll be another Hugenbosen. This time, it's James in 3rd. 4th place will be Adam McCutcheon, and in 5th, it's Robbie Stokes. From 6th place, William Montgomery. Well, this is a combined race, if you like, here at the Castrol Superbike New Zealand Road Racing Championship. It's Formula 3. We've had Formula 3 for years and years and years, Pav, but a new class, the Pro Twins. What's that all about?
Well, it's a low-form cost of racing, and we're just trying to encourage more folks to get into road racing, and the cheaper they can do it, the more people, you know, front up. So that's the key to it. This Formula 3, though, has been around for quite a number of years, and, man, we've seen some incredible machines built. It's a good class with Kiwi ingenuity. They build all sorts of things. We've got 650 twins, 450 Kawasaki inline 4s, 650 single-cylinder type machines. There's all sorts in there.
Well, we've seen a couple of guys dominate it too over the last few years, and one of them's in this field today, and that's Terry Fitzgerald, currently sitting in 3rd place on the number 2 Suzuki. But it's a new man to the class. Well, he did a little bit of racing last year in the class as well. But it's Glenn Williams, and normally, Pat, we've been used to seeing Glenn on the Superbikes and also on the 600 Proddy bike.
Well, a lot of people mistaken with the Glenn Williams that used to race about 10, 12 years ago. This is the new Glenn Williams, the Mark II version, and he's really forging his own reputation. He rode R6 Yamahas for a while, and he rode the wheels off them. Then he went to Superbikes, and I think he struggled a little bit on the 180 horsepower machines, so he's gone back to this Formula 3 bike, and he is just flying on it, Phil. Like, he really is the man to beat.
He really is. Well, I saw him at the Greymouth Street races, and he won every race he started in. And when I say he won every race, he was running in Formula 1, he was running in the Pro Twins, he was running in Formula 3, and he won everything. And I said to him, I said, is this a new lease of life for Glenn Williams? And he said, I've never felt happier on a motorcycle. And you can see here, he's just starting to get away from them as they come out of the Rock FM sweeper and head down the long straight.
Well, sometimes you just hop on a bike and you just click with it, and I think this is what's happened for him.
Another one to watch for there, number 227, Eric de Boer from Hokitika on the Colin Klein Motorcycles Kawasaki. And look at that, the veteran Terry Fitzgerald down the inside in turn 1. What an amazing man this is, Terry Fitzgerald, Pav. What a servant he's been to motorcycling.
Absolutely, and man, is he going to be a big party in New Plymouth when he turns 50 this year. He is a dude.
Well, in case you haven't already worked it out, he's the father of Hayden Fitzgerald, but boy, his deeds speak for themselves. He was ordered the freedom of the streets at Wanganui a few years ago for his deeds at the Cemetery Circuit. He's won this title many, many times before. Didn't win it last year. That's why he carries the number 2 plate, but I tell you what, he'd be gunning for it again here.
Well, we're missing Andy Bolwell, and Andy's the lap record holder here in Formula 3 on a Kawasaki 450, and he set the lap record here. I think it was last year. He did 1 minute 37.7. So they're a little bit off that at the moment. So he's probably sitting in his lounge there thinking, maybe I should have a comeback.
I know that Andy's been having a little bit more than a word in the ear of Eric de Boer, so maybe he's getting some pretty good advice. And look at this, as we speak, Fitzgerald starting to close down Glenn Williams. Suzuki on Suzuki.
It's a really well-balanced formula, this, you know. We talked about it earlier. You've got V-twins, 650s. You've got 450 inline 4s. And they've got strengths and weaknesses. And these twin-cylinder bikes really punch out of the corners well. You can just see the way they jump out of the turns. And the inline 4, for example, the Kawasaki's that Andy won the championship last year, seem to have an advantage right up top speed. So swings and roundabouts.
So the New Plymouth Motorcycle Centre sponsored Terry Fitzgerald, both of them having a look behind just to see where the opposition is. You don't have to look too far behind Glenn Williams because he's right on your tail. And here he comes, Terry Fitzgerald, the veteran, on Glenn Williams. Well, both these guys done so much motorcycling in the last probably 10 years.
Well, they'll be riding these easily too. They've both ridden superbikes. So, you know, hopping off a superbike onto a 650 twin, this will be a walk in the park for them. So, you know, they'll be flying.
Well, it's a battle of the Suzuki centres, really, as we cut back. Remember the Pro Twins in here as well.
Well, Carl Morgan, he's a keep an eye out for him for the future. He really is starting to find his straps. He's got a good hair. His father, Lance, was a very good TZ350 pilot, so it's in the bloodline, Phil.
Well, the thing with Carl Morgan was he came through, didn't he? He came through from Tim Gibbs's Winter Series. He moved up on from the 150s. He went to the 600 sports production bikes, started to go well, and then had that nasty accident down south, I think it was. And really, he's just, like you said, he's finding his straps, but it's taken him a while, I think, to get the confidence back and then to come back as strong as he has now.
Well, if you've ever had a massive fill, a crash fill like I have, believe me, it knocks the wind out of your sails.
Another one battling out there in the Pro Twins, number 94, that's Daniel McLaughlin. Just in behind him, but in the Formula 3 ranks, that's Richard Newbury. So really, essentially, folks, what we've got here is a race within a race.
Well, Glenn Williams too, and Terry Fitzgerald. It's quite surprising. Both these guys are like in mid-40s, and like we said, Terry's nearly 50. So it's a real challenge to these young guys to step up and knock them off their perch.
And that's what they'll be trying to do. You can make no mistake about that. Number 58, Mark Wigley, running in the Formula 3 class.
We've got a couple of young lions in the Pro Twin class. Carl Morgan, he's only 21, and Tom Boss is 17, so you don't expect them to step up in the next year or so.
Well, young Tom's an amazing story as well. I saw him at the Greymouth Street races. It was the first time he'd ridden a full-size motorcycle. He's one of those guys we talked about before that sort of graduated from the street stock 150s. They bought that bike as a write-off in Australia. They've built it up over our off-season, and he's ready to have a go this year. And like you say, the kid's a teenager.
Well, look, the locals won't be liking this because we've got two North Islanders leading the class at the moment.
And leading it quite comfortably. Glenn Williams in the front, Terry Fitzgerald in second place. And look how smooth Terry Fitzgerald is. Through the dipper they go, heading out towards the big sweeper at the top end of the circuit here at Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna. This is the Castrol New Zealand Superbike Championships.
I raced Terry for years, Phil, and he was just silky smooth. You never had to worry about any stupid kamikaze passing manoeuvres. He was just really smooth and fast.
We just got a brief glimpse there of Eric de Boer, number 227, as we go back to the front of the field, coming into turn one once again. And slowly, Pav, I think that elastic band between Terry Fitzgerald and Glenn Williams is just getting maybe to breaking point.
Well, they're stretching each other. I mean, like Terry Fitzgerald did the fastest lap of the race so far at 1:38.1. Glenn Williams immediately responded with his fastest lap, so they're trying pretty hard.
But you can see on that shot just how close it is between the Pro Twins and also the Formula 3. This is Eric de Boer, and right in behind him was young Carl Morgan. Now Morgan is leading the Pro Twins. This is one of the female riders in the field, Jill Clendon, number 219.
Well, she'll be looking forward to Pukekohe because she's really quick around Puke, her home track.
Tell you what, she's no slouch around Ruapuna either.
No, she isn't. She's really good. She carries super fast corner speed. She's really light.
Well, they're just making their way onto the long front straight here at Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna as we go back to the infield, and this is the battle at the front of the field. 17, Glenn Williams on the Dannevirke Suzuki, and right in behind him it is the new Plymouth Motorcycle Centre sponsored Terry Fitzgerald. Both of them on SV 650 V Twins. They are the class of the field in the Formula 3 and Pro Twin combined race.
Just look at Glenn Williams' body language. He is completely focused on doing this job.
Well, I don't know. He keeps looking back. I just wonder if he's just a little bit worried. Here is number 227. Now, this is Eric de Boer. Now, he would be second in the Formula 3 race, but he's getting chased down here by Carl Morgan. And Morgan will be leading the Pro Twins further back through the field. A little battle going on here. In fact, for last place, Alan Zitnick, number 210. Oh, and how close do you want to go as they come through the hairpin? I don't think that the other guy actually realised that these blokes were coming just as fast as they were.
Yep, they're exchanging paint and stickers. Whoa!
Oh, and Zitnick's gone straight ahead. Is he going to hold on to it? Is he going to pull it up before he hits the tyre wall or hits the other part of the racetrack?
Let's hope so.
So action aplenty here in this combined race, Formula 3 and Pro Twins. As you heard Pav say, Pro Twins brand new to the system here. This, though, is the race lead, and I think it just changed then, Pav. Fitzgerald was in the front for the briefest moment, and now it's the 17 back in the front. Terry Fitzgerald's got to do it all again here.
He's got to stay focused and not get flustered because, you know, it's easy to get the red haze on when things like that happen.
So Williams back in the lead in the closing stages of this one, coming to you from Powerbuilt Tools Raceway Ruapuna.
Oh,
Brilliantly
no.
hot day, and Terry Fitzgerald's gone in a shower of dust.
No, that's what he's got the red haze on, and he's done. He's put the acid down.
Well, it's left it open to Glenn Williams to come through with the win if he can keep it on two wheels, and I tell you what, I think he can. Glenn Williams, he's led it virtually from the flag fall.
Terry Fitzgerald will be gutted. That was unnecessary, really.
Well, it's uncharacteristic too. We mentioned before he's so smooth, and we got another one down on the racetrack. Well, Williams misses it, luckily, as he begins his run to the checkered flag. Out comes the flag, and Fitzgerald draws first blood. And look at this. Eric de Boer's got a real battle on his hands here. Carl Morgan in danger of running him down. This is Pro Twin versus Formula 3. Number 181 hopefully can get the bike off the track. That's Glenn Agay as we go back to number 9, the man currently in third in Formula 3, Richard Newbury. Here comes the battle, though, for second and third overall honours, and de Boer holds onto it. Carl Morgan will win the Pro Twins. So Glenn Williams gets the battle and the win in the Formula 3 title. In second place, it is Eric de Boer, and in third place, it's Richard Newbury. Fourth place is Mark Wigley, and in fifth, it is Gary Pendleton. Meantime, in the Pro Twins, Carl Morgan gets the win from the teenager Tom Boss, with the veteran Daniel McLaughlin through in third place.
We put a head down on Friday and got some really good lap times, and the suspension guys, the Olands guys, really helped out this weekend and found me another second. We didn't quite get the lap record there, but it was a close thing, so that's great. I mean, we've gone the right way set up, and the bike's a dream to ride, so hey, I've got to do the rest of it.
Well, there are the victors in the Formula 3 title. Plenty more to come here from Ruapuna for the Castrol 2008 New Zealand Superbike Championships. We're back after the break. Welcome back to the Castrol 2008 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championship. And here are the crowd favourites. It's the mighty sidecars. And on pole position, it is the number 1, and that is Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. But the one to watch out for is the man that starts outside them, and that's Steve Braun and Dennis Simonson. Charlie Bilby not on the swinging duties for Steve Braun, but that rig, Pav, is capable of winning this event. It's the X-World Championship rig. It's an LCR 1000cc Suzuki-powered machine. We're on board here with Chris and Richie Lawrence in the Yamaha. and they're currently sitting in about 5th spot at the moment. You get a bird's eye view, or should I say a snail's eye view, as you go around here at Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna.
Yeah, well, I think Scrivener might have something else to say about being beaten around here. They've really got this thing sorted.
Well, they were dominant last year, and everyone expected them to be dominant here as well, but I can tell you they are carrying a little bit of a handicap. They've got an overheating problem with the Hayabusa engine in their Salisbury rig, and it's been plaguing them for the last couple of days. And I said to Andy just before this race started, do you think it'll go the distance? He said, I doubt it. So we'll wait and see.
Well, he'll want to stay up front and keep the clean air. He won't want to be getting any slipstreams.
That's right. This is a prestigious title on the line here, the first round of the New Zealand Road Racing Championship here in Christchurch. Of course, the New Zealand Grand Prix title up for grabs.
I'll see how the passenger just casually lifted his hand then when they nearly rubbed chairs at about 85 mile an hour. These are cool customers, these swingers. They're really athletic guys.
Well, I can talk from a bit of experience there, Pav, because I was lucky enough to go on board with the guys we ride with here, Chris and Richie Lawrence. Or in fact, I took over from Richie, and I tip my hat to these guys because, one, you've got to be a gymnast, and two, you go so fast, and it is so hard on your body, like you would not believe it.
Yeah, I'd believe it. I've had to go as well, and nearly tore my arms out of my sockets.
Well, that's right. Look at this. Steve Bryan just starting to close up the gap now on Andy Scrivener, Adam Unsworth and Vince Stewart through in 3rd place.
Well, it's really raised the stakes, hasn't it, Phil? These LCR chassis, boy, they are the business.
And as they go into the front, Pav, we've got to remember that Dennis Simonson isn't the regular swinger for Steve Bryan. That is Charlie Bilby. But as I told you, at the cemetery circuit this year, they got into a bit of a problem in race number 2 for the chairs in the first turn. And poor old Charlie has sustained a bit of an injury. That's why Dennis is doing the job. And what a job he's doing.
Yeah, he's really come to grips with it quickly.
Unsworth and Vince Stewart on your screen there. They're currently sitting in 3rd place. But it is the LCR out in the front, the Salisbury in 2nd place. And it's Stewart, as we told you.
Most of these engines, too, looking down the entry list, are Suzuki's. These booster engines are really torquey. A production engine, they've got a 1300cc power plant, inline 4, and they've got like 170-odd horsepower standard. They're really powerful.
111, you just saw there Peter Goodwin and Gavin James having a good battle with the Lawrence brothers. You can see they've sustained a little bit of damage from the previous race, and the Chris and Richie Lawrence now all over them in the Yamaha rig.
Yeah, these boys have got this Yamaha flying as well. Cameras on board. You can see how hard they're trying. They're looking for the gap.
You see Goodwin and Gavin James here just drifting a little bit wide, and that's the door opening that the Lawrences will be looking for through the Jeff's delivery turn now, heading up into the left-hander. Have they got the run? No, they haven't. Oh, and it was oh so close. Let's see what happens as they go into the dipper, because we're using the full circuit here at Ruapuna, and this is a testing time on 2 wheels. What's it like on 3? I tell you what, it's pretty good, because Goodwin and James hold on to it. This is the battle for the minors at the moment. You've got the best seat in the house as we run up to the big sweeper here at Ruapuna. You're on board with Chris and Richie Lawrence and the Red Baron Motorcycles Yamaha.
Well, it's a chess game. They're really trying hard, and he's going to be trying to line them up. A corner of advance. He'll either shoot up the inside.
Well, these things have never lacked anything in top-end speed. And you can see there that the 111 just starting to get away just a little bit. Slightly different lines here. Now you'll see Goodwin and James just move over to the outside of the track for the turn. Here comes the Lawrences down the inside. Who's going to get there? Just up ahead, oblivious to this going on ahead, is Adam Unsworth and Vince Stewart. Have Chris and Richie Lawrence got up on the 111? I think they have. Yes, they have.
Yep, they went high and wide, and they shot up the inside of them. Quick and slick.
So, pretty exciting stuff in the battle for the minors. This is the man currently sitting in 3rd place on your screens at the moment. Rig number 12, Adam Unsworth and Vince Stewart. The Boss Engineering Supplies sponsored rig. Right in behind them, it's the Yamaha of the Lawrences. Down through the hairpin they come. We ride with them as we work the infield loop here at Ruapuna.
This footage is just intoxicating. I could watch it all day. It's just brilliant.
But you see, one thing about these guys, Pav, they keep it off the curbs. I don't think it'd be too good for the handling if they're jumping curbs.
No, they don't have a lot of suspension.
Chris and Richie Lawrence now hard on the attack here. Adam Unsworth and Vince Stewart will be the next victims. Meantime, at the front of the field, well, I've said it so many times in commentary, Rubbin's racing, but not on 3 wheels. And down the inside as they go through the Jeff delivery turn, heading up into the left-hander Cockram Nissan, it looks like the Yamaha of Chris and Richie Lawrence has prevailed against the number 12, Unsworth and Stewart.
Well, he's moving forward, isn't he? Just chipping away at it.
This is the new rig for the Lawrences. For so long now, they've been handicapped by the 600cc machine.
That was never really going to work, like carrying 2 people around and then trying to compete with 1300cc rigs on a 600. The gap's just too big, the horsepower gap.
Look at Andy Scrivener. I think he's having words there with Steve Braun. You saw them get together very closely in that last lap. And once again, Braun just has the edge in straight-out speed. And the Southerby Engineering rig of number 1, Andy Scrivener, says anything you can do, I can do better, and passes him round the outside, Pat. What about that?
Yep, they are at one with that machine, aren't they?
Well, they are. Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan been around a long, long time, so they've got the familiarity, I guess, of the combination. This is Graham Harris and Paul Bolton. They're back in 10th place at the moment.
Well, that's a World Championships winning machine too, isn't it?
Well, that's right. It's been there and done that, as we say.
I'm impressed too. The sidecar guys have raised their game this year. You know, the presentation, the whole professionalism, they've lifted a notch, and I salute them. I think it's great.
Well, the 27 that we saw there, one of the veterans, Dave Annan and Warwick Demmicks. This is a battle for the minors. You've seen number 12 there before. That is Adam Unsworth and Vince Stewart. Number 15, well, this is Leighton Manel and Louise Blythel. Now, Leighton was the swinger for the man that used to own this rig, and, of course, that's Australian Stacey Sellers. He's now bought the rig. He's transferred to the driving duties, and he's doing a pretty good job here in round 1 of the New Zealand Championship.
It's good to see that familiar name, too. Sangyong on the side there. Sangyong have been a really good sponsor for road racing and motocross in New Zealand for the last few years.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what they've fed the Lawrences for breakfast this morning, but it seems to be working because they've just gone round the outside of Steve Bryan and Dennis Simonson to move through into 2nd place now. So they're doing a fantastic job. Back on board here with the Lawrences as they head up into the big sweeper at the top end of the racetrack.
They're going to have to make their move too. If they've got anything left in their tank, they're going to have to crack it along because they're running out of laps.
Well, you can't even see Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. That's the lead they've got. And there goes Steve Braun and Dennis Simonson. They've waved goodbye, so clearly the LCR has the legs.
Man, that thing's got some horsepower. You see how it just whistled past. That bike, that chair of the Lawrences isn't a slug either. That's a pretty crisp machine.
Well, it is. It's brand new to them, and they're slowly but surely coming to grips with it. I talked to Chris before this race started. They were pretty confident. Love to take the New Zealand Grand Prix title back home to Auckland. To do that, though, they've got to get ahead once again of Steve Braun and Dennis Simonson. You're riding here with the Lawrences, taking the Castrol onboard pictures, coming up to the hairpin.
What can they do? Can they make it up in the corners? Because they seem to have a deficit in horsepower. Look at that rig up front starting to pull away down the straight.
Down through Castrol they go now. As I said before, this is the best seat in the house around Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna. Oh, and Braun just getting a little bit sideways there as they work their way through the carousel, so maybe the Lawrences just starting to close the gap. Remember, this is the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Further up the racetrack, you've got the race leaders, and that is the number 1 rig, the defending champions, Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan, on what must be said is an ailing Suzuki Hayabusa Southerby.
Wow, yeah, you'd have to question that. The thing's so dominant in this race. They might have been bluffing you, Phil.
Well, I think they might have been, although I did see them pouring some Chemi Weld into the radiator, so I think they had some problems.
It's doing the business.
In and out of the dipper they come. You're riding with the Lawrence brothers, trying to make any progress up on Steve Braun and Dennis Simonson. Just about a lap here at Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna. Up into the big sweeper once again. They've got to carry the speed here because it makes such a difference on the long, long front straight.
Watch this machine up front just start to pull away.
There is the race leaders. Number 1, Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. 2nd place, Braun and Simonson. And as you heard Pav say, they just seem to have the edge on the Lawrences. They just seem to pull away on the long front straight.
Yeah, well, it's all uphill. Once the machine pulls away that much down the straight, you know, you've got to be so much better than them around the corners. And at this level, the gap's just not there.
I don't think these two can believe how far in front they are. Look at this, Steve Bryan waving to friends in the crowd. They've got this on a string. Andy Scrivener and Bryan talking to each other, having a conversation like they're sitting around the kitchen table. They've decimated this field in the New Zealand Grand Prix for the sidecars.
It's been pretty impressive.
Well, some of it would be that the fact that they are a very happy combination, but as I said before, there's that spectre of that mechanical problem where obviously it's not going to bother them. Look at this, they're waving to the flag marshals.
Yeah, and he's short shifting it too, so any overheating problems aren't going to be there.
So it will be the Southerby Engineering Hayabusa powered number 1, the defending champions. Open the account here well at round 1 of the 2008 Castrol New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships. They will draw first blood in the New Zealand Sidecar Grand Prix. And look at this, they're in cruise mode.
Yeah, it's been a masterful display. They really have dominated this race.
Even giving our cameraman a bit of a thumbs up there is Andy Scrivener. Well, talk about a lap of honour.
Bit of showboating now, lifting the wheel around the sweeper. Look, they're just having a bit of fun now.
Look, it's all too easy as they run down towards the checkered flag. The champions, Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan, clasp hands as they go under the checkered flag and win the New Zealand Sidecar Grand Prix easily. Steve Bryan and Dennis Simonson will go through in second place. Then it will be the Lawrence brothers, Chris and Richie, and in fourth place it'll be Peter Goodwin and Gavin James. Fifth place will be Leighton Manel and Louise Blythel, and in sixth it's Unsworth and Stewart.
Full credit to Phil Salisbury for providing us an awesome machine. We just get on it, turn the key basically, and go out and go dog. And Steve, I tell you, there's not a better passenger out there. There's a couple of crashes at Wanganui and all the swingers fell off and got hurt. Steve hangs onto that thing going sideways, putting on the freak show, and he's still there. Look at him. He's a bit knackered now, but hey, the pace to be going out there is pretty awesome. It's pretty hard work, and all credit to you, Steve. You did a good job. Cheers, mate.
So there are the winners of the New Zealand Sidecar Grand Prix. It is Scrivener and Bryan take out the title here at the 2008 New Zealand Superbike Championships. Welcome back to the 2008 New Zealand Superbike Championships, brought to you by Castrol. One GP title to be decided. It is the 125s, all of them two strokes, the majority of them Hondas. This will be good, Pav.
Absolutely, and it's just jam-packed with young talent too. You know, there's a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds out the front at the moment.
Well, it's Tim MacArthur, the number 39, that's got into the early lead. But having said that, with 12 laps to go, anything can happen. Don't expect the guy that's in the front with 2 to go to win the race. That's how close this is.
Well, Steve Ward dominated this class for many years, and he set a blistering lap record of 1 minute 38.8 back in 2003. And to this day, it hasn't been beaten.
Well, there's lots of young talent, as we've said, all throughout the day here at Canterbury. And it's young talent in the front. MacArthur on the RS125 out of Dunedin.
Well, there were just about all RS Hondas still in this class. I think there's a couple of Yamahas, but nearly all of them are RS125 Hondas.
Yeah, I think we've got Vaughan Simmons, number 21, on a TZ125 Yamaha, and also Kenneth Jones is on a 125 Yamaha as well. But it's the Hondas to the fore. And why is that, Pav? Are they the dominant bike because they're the best, or are they the easiest to get hold of?
Well, I think a lot of them are Jap imports. Currently in the World Championship, a lot of the European bikes are winning. Derbies, Aprilias, KTMs. You know, these have been picked up for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 ex-Japan, and they're a really cheap form of racing. They're a 125 single-cylinder two-stroke and relatively low maintenance. Great for these kids to get into.
And I know the other thing, and I know that Carol Pavich has said this to us a lot of times, the fact that it is a genuine Grand Prix bike makes a difference.
Yeah, they love it, and it's a good step-up class after the 150s. Just looking down the age here, like Cameron Jones, he's only 15 years old. Eric Oliver Maxwell, he's 15. Tim MacArthur, he's 20. Gregor Stevens, 17. So they're all young lions really trying to make a mark in road racing.
Well, you mentioned young Cam Jones is just towing this group down the front straight. There he is on the 9. Another one of the Hondas.
That's a really good effort by Cameron, but he's only a kid. He's 15, and look at the pace he's setting.
Going with him, Eric Oliver Maxwell, and we know how good he can ride because we saw him do amazing things in the Street Stock 150 race. Well, he's doing double duty here at Ruapuna, and he slips down the inside of Jones to gather a position, but it's still number 39 out in the front, and that is Tim MacArthur from Dunedin. Watch 2 for Ashley Weller, number 4.
Very, very important on this circuit to get good drive onto the front straight. You know, these are, like you said, purpose-built Grand Prix bikes. They handle absolutely brilliantly. They're on slick tyres, so, you know, you can push them to the right to the limit.
That's exactly what Cameron Jones is doing at the moment. There he is, number 9, just up ahead of him. I think it's James Mackay on the number 5. Another one of the Hondas in the field.
His brother's a very good road racer too, Dominic Jones. He's in the States at the moment having some good rides.
That's right, he's been running on the AMA Pro Circuit. It's the second year he's been doing that. He's sort of doing it all on his own. Making his own way up there, which I guess is the way to do it, Pav. If you really want to succeed, you want to get into that selfish mode and just do the very best you can.
No, he's done well too.
I know that's what Cameron's doing as he tries to get to the front. Didn't have the very best of the starts, got caught napping a wee bit, so started probably a little ways down the grid.
Well, he would have done, even though he's only 15, he would have done hundreds of laps around here on those little 150s on the training days. So I'm pretty confident he'll do well.
That's right. Whatever they do down here in Canterbury seems to work, because there are lots and lots of young riders starting to come through. And look how busy it's getting in behind him. Maxwell looking for racing room there on the 4 of Ashley Weller. Passes him as they go across the stripe. Right in there too, number 5, James Mackay. So there is absolutely nothing in this. You mentioned before, Pav, about MotoGP, and we see this huge drafting fest. I think we're going to see that here as well.
Absolutely, it's critical. Remember, these have only got 40-odd horsepower. It's hard to break away.
And I guess for an older bloke, it's good to hear that nice 2-stroke sound again. We've had the 4-strokes dominating in the last few years in road racing. Great to hear the 125 2-strokes and the 250s out there.
Well, I'm a big 2-stroke fan. I think it makes it affordable for the riders. You know, like they can fix these, put a new piston in them in half an hour, and they're ready to go.
Oh, while Pav and I have been reminiscing, that's put number 9, Cameron Jones, up into 2nd place, because he's just passed Adam Chambers. Up ahead of him, it is the race leader, and that is bike number 39, I beg your pardon. That is Tim MacArthur, and he's quite a way ahead, Pav. Be interesting to see if Jones can chase him down.
Well, it's certainly looking like he can. He's just chipping away at that lead, and he's putting in some fast lap times.
There's, I believe he's the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment. His best time of a 1:41.0. Second best time is a 1:41.1. So there's nothing in it, as you would expect, in this close racing.
Just shows you what a legend Steve Ward was. They're 2 seconds off the lap record. How fast was Steve Ward?
And you mentioned Steve Ward, and of course he's involved in the mentoring process for all these young Cantabrians, which is fantastic.
Yeah, he is. He's taken a few under his wing, and he'll be giving them good advice, teaching them all about cornering speed and technique, so good on him.
Well, the advice he'll be giving Cameron Jones at the moment is put your head down, son. Tim MacArthur's a little bit further up the road. And, well, we've got a change for 3rd and 4th as well, because Adam Chambers has gone back 1. Maxwell moves up a spot.
Cameron Jones is just starting to gap these guys behind him, though. Ever so slightly, he's chipping away at that lead.
Well, he is getting closer. He's just got a brief glimpse there of Tim MacArthur. He's the race leader and has been since the flag dropped.
So much easier, Phil, when you're following someone to do something special and close that gap. When you're out front, it's you've just got to put your head down and do the best you can.
Well, speaking of doing something special, I thought then that Eric Oliver Maxwell was going to try and do something a little bit special through the hairpin. He resisted the urge, and that's kept him in 3rd spot for the moment. There is MacArthur.
Well, that's one of the big challenges for these young teenagers, is that controlled aggression. Stay calm and ride fast without doing anything crazy.
So Honda's 1, 2, 3 and 4 at the moment. We're watching the man in 2nd place. This is Cameron Jones. Right in behind him, it is Eric Oliver Maxwell. Then we would go back to Gregor Stevens. Ashley Weller, the number 4, in there as well. And they're being towed around by Jones, and you can see, and the gap, I think now, Pav, is starting to visually close. There is MacArthur just up ahead of them.
Yep, 2nd, 3rd and 4th are definitely closing the gap. There's no doubt about it.
So I wonder if the man from Dunedin's time in the sun is starting to come to a close here. Cameron Jones is going to tow the rest of the field up to him, I think.
It's so easy to get inspired when you're chipping away at someone's lead, because you can leave your braking just that little bit harder, corner a little bit harder, and see the rewards when you're chasing someone down.
So the Steve Ward racing pair of Eric Oliver Maxwell and Cameron Jones trying to chase down the 39 of Tim MacArthur from Dunedin. Across the line they flash once again. This is the battle on your screen for 2nd and 3rd. They're teammates, but I bet they're bitter rivals on the racetrack at the moment. Slightly different lines through turn 1.
Yeah, it's all about cornering speed, Phil. These 125s, you can't stop, point and squirt them. They just do not have the horsepower or the torque. You've got to keep that flow going.
I tell you what, while we've been watching Cameron Jones starting to stalk down MacArthur, Maxwell's getting a little bit closer to Jones now. And then Weller through in 5th place, and right in behind him, it is Chambers. And in there as well now, number 7, and that's Gregor Stevens. And Stevens has got a bit to give, I think.
It's really, really sharp riding. They're 15-year-old, these 2 boys. They're doing a great job.
Well, you saw just a bit of a bobble there from Ashley Weller, and that allowed Gregor Stevens to get just a little bit closer. But they've still got to get around Chambers if they want to be on the podium here. Laps running down at Ruapuna. It's round 1 of the Castrol New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships.
Really encouraging too to see the preparation that goes into these little 125 GP bikes. You know, they're beautifully presented, the paintwork and the preparation. It's just a credit to these kids.
Well, I said about a half a lap ago that Tim MacArthur's day in the sun was going to come to an end prematurely, and you might see it this time around. Cameron Jones caught up in the slipstream now. He'll try and pull out as they come into turn one. Race leader, he's led it from the flagfall. He's going to lose it here, or is he? He has a sneaky look over, and down the inside comes Jones, and into first spot, and going with him is Maxwell. Well, so it never rains when it pours, Pat. Poor old MacArthur made one mistake and goes back to third.
Yeah, he's been mugged well and truly, hasn't he?
Well, that is the vagaries of racing. They say it's a cruel sport, and there you get a graphic example of it. I'm sure he thought his days were in the sun here all the way to the flag. Hasn't turned out that way.
Well, it's unusual too, because his lap times are competitive, but they seem to be dropping him off.
Well, they are. I know that certainly in running, if you can get past somebody, if you can pull up and pass them, go ahead, put on your best spurt, demoralise them. And that's certainly what Cameron Jones and Maxwell are trying to do now to poor old Tim MacArthur, and I think it's worked.
Well, it won't be fitness, because he's only 20 years old. He'll be fit as a buck rat, there's no doubt.
Motorcycling Canterbury bringing you this enthralling 1-2-5 race. It's for the New Zealand Grand Prix title.
Look, he's closed the gap right up again too. So these kids have got strength and weaknesses at different parts of the track, and he's even going to go up the inside. Oh, that was close.
Pav, you're brave, and we've talked about it before. You've hit the deck a few times, but that was the bravest of the brave then.
Yeah.
Up the inside there, not a wise move.
Yeah, he'll have the red haze on now. Let's just hope he stays composed, because he had the door slammed in his face.
And of course, we've seen it so often while those two are battling, Eric Oliver, Maxwell and MacArthur, it's allowed Jones just to slip away a little bit.
Yeah, he'll be laughing. He'll be hoping that they dust each other up a little bit more.
Oh, Maxwell just about has a moment. Oh, that so could have easily been a high side as they run down to the stripe once again. 9, 147 and 39 the order. It is Cameron Jones, Eric Oliver Maxwell and Tim MacArthur. And forget about the last, 5 or 6 laps, because poor old Tim MacArthur thought he was going to get all the silverware, the plate, the 125 GP title as well. Didn't turn out that way. Now he's back in third place. But we've seen before he can come back, but he's got to do it soon, Pat. We're on the last lap.
Eric had to do that. He had to get the power on early onto that long front straight to try and get close to Cameron.
Oh, now I think he's going to try and pull out here as they come up into the hairpin. Oh, he's going to go around the outside. Oh, and they just about touch, fearing to fearing. Cameron Jones shows him the outside of the racetrack. Maxwell's got to get out of the turn quicker than he thought he had to, or he was on the grass for sure, but there's nothing MacArthur can do about it. And Maxwell's not done yet.
Well, that's two 15-year-olds at the schoolyard punch-up, isn't it?
Well, it is. Now pick your favourite. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be the number 9, Cameron Jones, or is it going to be the 147, Eric Oliver Maxwell? That's where it's going to be decided, and it's going to be decided in the next few corners, I would think.
These kids are just fearless, aren't they? You can see they'll have a go. They just have no fear whatsoever.
Into the dipper for the last time, and I tell you what, MacArthur's not done with yet on the 39. He's in third, but he'd love to be in second, and of course he'd love to win it, but I don't think that's going to happen. Further down through the field, number 30, Nick Kane. Now, we saw Nick in the 150 race as well. Had some mechanical issues, but he's in this one.
He's at about 9th spot at the moment.
Meantime, this man in the front, running to the checkered flag this time. Canterbury Motorcycles bring it to you. It's the 125 New Zealand Grand Prix, and it's going to go to the rider of bike number 9, and that is Cameron Jones. Second place will be Eric Oliver Maxwell, and in third place it will be number 39, Tim MacArthur from Dunedin. Fourth place is Gregor Stevens, and in fifth place it's Ashley Weller.
This weekend's just kind of been lucky, I guess, you know. Just been up there at the front, giving it my all. That's all.
But that one, you came from the back.
Yeah, I don't get very good starts usually. That one was a shocker, but, you know, it's fun going from the back, so as long as you know you can catch them.
What's the secret to riding one of these things fast? I guess it's trying to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, you got to keep the momentum going or they bog, but I've only been on this machine for like a few meetings, so I'm just still getting used to the bike.
I made a good break at the start, but then I had a few bike problems, and I just keep going as hard as I could, but then the other two got past. They were riding really, really well. I saw my lap board, they were closing on me. I knew they were coming, and then finally they got past, so I just tagged along and made a few moves to try and pass, but just couldn't quite do it.
To finish, we have recycled a bit of Rally Extreme. Don't worry, thanks to the NZ Rally Boys, we have found a vault full of rallying, which will be heading your way in a few weeks. Meantime, this is the 2007 Rally Extreme round from Northland.
So after a busy and exciting season, the stage was set for a grand finale. Pai here in the beautiful Bay of Islands was a fitting venue for the finale of the 2007 Rally Extreme Challenge. After the first race in the final series, the 0800 Boxman Rally of Nelson, a lot of the South Island cars now no longer in contention for the title did not travel north. And also a late withdrawal with the Clendons of Manawatu. After his win in round one of the finals, Christchurch's Jeff Judd had everything to play for. Now more used to his new car, his ambitions were to secure the championship and win the rally. But the scare in stage one, resulting in extensive damage to the rear of the Hankook Subaru, meant the Christchurch pairing of Judd and co-driver Marty Stevenson decided it was all about the title and backed off. Judd had finished fifth in his first attempt at Rally Extreme behind champions Derek Asen, Callum McGuinness, Robbie Lester and Malcolm Stewart. But this year, the campaign had been much more focused, and with a new car for the finals and no Regan Ross, this was a huge opportunity for the Christchurch veterans. When the diff cried enough in Special Stage 5 at Nelson, any hopes of winning the series were gone for Kingsley Jones and Waverley Nation. They came to the Copthorne Resort Rally of the Far North to win and got off to a great start. First in one and seconds and thirds, meant by the service and lunch break, they were in the front. Another North Island driver who had returned from Nelson empty-handed was Howick's Matthew Jensen. Turbo problems ending his charge in Nelson. And it was mechanical problems in the early going that hampered the Santa Rosa Chicken-sponsored Mitsubishi. He came good in 4 when he won the longest stage of the event, the Orangaroa test at 47 kilometres. The fight back had begun. The find of this season's Rally Extreme Challenge in four-wheel drive must be Cameron Cox, one of the few North Island cars who didn't have trouble in Nelson. Anton Meyer picked up 23 valuable points at Nelson, and with the South Island competitors struggling on the tight, twisty, cambered Far North roads, Meyer and co-driver Dave Davenport, who was in a battle with Jeff Judd's co-pilot for co-driver honours, were exactly where they needed to be, third overall at the halfway. Brendan Oakton had showed the commitment necessary to excel, and he and the team rebuilt their car for this series after an early season crash. And it was the never say die attitude that helped them when they lost 12 minutes in stage 1 at Nelson, but still finished, picking up 14 valuable points. Les Somerville has won major titles before. He's a past Mainland Series champion, and with a great performance on nearly home roads, was in a position to do it again. As usual, it was a cautious start for the Cantab. At the halfway stage, he and Matt King held 6th. The shock at Nelson were the troubles for perennial two-wheel drive frontrunner Grant Liston. Shock absorber problems slowed him in the South Island, and it was a mystery ailment that slowed him here in the north. Seeded first two-wheel drive car on the road by halfway, they were where they had been at Nelson, back in third chasing David Wright and Craig Stevens. Craig Stevens had started the Copthorne Resort Rally fast, taking two-wheel drive honours in stage 1, Kohu at 19.73 kilometres, and one of the toughest of the rallies, complete with a 5-kilometre hill climb and blind brows and scary drop-offs. Perhaps a wrong rear diff ratio had cost him the chance of running with his rivals David Wright and Grant Liston at Nelson. But here in Pai, he was not just running with them, but in the early going, he was outrunning them. As well as the overalls in class, there were co-drivers' titles to be won as well, and Craig Stevens' partner Chris Alexander was the front runner, having competed every round in the Vogland Escort. For David Wright and Dana Brooks, what had been a season of developmental blues had turned round at Nelson. With the transmission problems now a memory, and coming off the Nelson victory, Wright's performance here in the north was incredible. Second overall in the treacherous Diggers Pass, a sign of things to come. The sleepy far north town of Kaikoui was woken up as the extreme field headed to service. As each of the top teams pits, the intensity was evident. For some, the title was on their minds. None more so than Jeff Judd's team and Northland's favourite son, Brendan Oakton. For others, like Kingsley Jones, the title was gone, but the win could be his for the taking. No matter what happened, the afternoon was sure to be interesting and full of surprises. So the final stage was set. At the end, a title and a championship. After the 4 qualifiers in each island and the Nelson final, it had all come down to this. After curing the early morning mechanical gremlins, Matt Jensen had taken stage 3 and 4, and in the afternoon, stages 5 and 6. This moved him up the leaderboard, but then a 7th and 7 and a 9th and a 10th in the final 2 meant 10th overall finish for the day and 7th for the series. Craig Stevens' early morning charge hadn't stalled, it's just that his opposition got better. As you can see here from our onboard shots by the rev limiter light blinking, he was trying and giving the Escort all it could handle. Their results over the series and those of Dean Buist before him showed that there is still a place for a 30-plus-year-old car in New Zealand rallying and Rally Extreme. The fact that the car is an iconic BDA Escort doesn't hurt either. Third on the day and third for the series. After being the dominant two-wheel drive competitor for the last 2 years and a top competitor for many more, Grant Liston and Rob Scott could only manage second in class. That, another second at the first final of the 0800 Boxman Rally of Nelson, meant the champ was dethroned. Fourth in the points heading to the far north, Cam Cox and co-driver Michael Lawton needed a good afternoon's run and some luck to have a shot at the title. A slow start to the rally cost the pairing, and even though they carded a couple of thirds in 6 and 7 and a 4th and 8, their luck deserted them again. 7th for the day and 5th for the series. Rangiora's led Summerfield and co-driver Matthew King, a cautious start and an eye on the main prize, the series title, may have cost them in the far north. The Castrol subby made a move in 4, moving up 3 spots to 6th, and as the weather changed in the afternoon, the Cantabs went into survival mode. But they still kept an eye on main rival, Jeff Judd. A lot of people thought that Jeff Judd had made a rod for his own back by debuting a brand new car at the first final at Nelson. History now tells us that this was the right choice. The Hankook Subaru delivering its crew a win first up. Here in Paihia, after a scare in 1, it was steady as she goes for the vastly experienced Judd and co-driver Marty Stevenson. With the title all but wrapped up, the Christchurch pairing let it all hang out and won the final stage, Omorahu, at 16.35 kilometres and rated by many as the Motu of the North. This meant a 5th overall for the day and the title for the Racetech Chicane Rally Extreme Challenge for 2007 for the popular Cantab. It was another Subaru that claimed 4th in the Copthorne Resort Rally of the Far North, and amazingly enough, another team that had debuted a brand new car this season. Anton Meyer and Dave Davenport had their best performance in stage 1, but by never finishing out of the top 8 for the rest of the 8 stages, claimed 2nd overall. Brendan Oakton and Brian Pipe had plenty of home province support in their Subaru. A stage win in 2, they started the event 7th in points, and with a 3rd here, leapfrog Cam Cox, with the non-start of Dave G and Peter Clendon, ended up 4th, just 4 points off the podium. The rain may have slowed some, but it didn't bother David Wright and Dana Brooks. Their amazing performance continued after a fine 2nd in 2, with a 3rd in 4, 4th in 4 and another 2nd in 7, Ruapuna. This, along with a win in Nelson, gave him the two-wheel drive title, and 2nd overall for the day. Kingsley Jones always gives 110%. Out of contention after a DNF in Nelson, he and co-driver Waverley Nation were looking for the win here. They attacked from the start and were never headed. They weren't able to win the war, but the battle was theirs. So Kingsley Jones and Waverley Nation take the title for the Rally of the Far North. David Wright and Dana Brooks 2nd in the two-wheel drive. That's good enough to give them the championship. Whilst in 5th, Jeff Judd and Marty Stevenson claim the 4-wheel drive title.
That's it for this week. See you next week for more Retro Motorsport.
The circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.